When he left, he gave her no money whatsoever. He moved out of the marital residence. He moved in with his girlfriend, and I have a private investigator's report showing that he's there every night. I have the bill right here. It's
I pay it every month. I've paid
Mr.
it
Vine,
for the last
please
3
mute
months.
Mr.
I
Vine.
paid
Mr.
it
Vine,
today.
we're going to mute you,
She's
Mr. Vine.
lying.
Record this matter is before the court this morning on the plaintiff's motion for her to show cause, alleging violation of the status quo order entered by this court on August 14, 2024. This hearing is being conducted via Zoom. The president is Attorney Paul Longton, representing the plaintiff's moving party, Catherine Vine. Ms. Vine appears to be present with Mr. Longton. In addition, Attorney Stephen Romberg is present, representing defendant husband William Vine. Mr. Vine is also present. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning, Judge.
Parties have conferred this morning with Ms. Patrick, who has provided the court the following recommendation: that the defendant shall pay the plaintiff $1,500 per month commencing October 1st, 2024 for marital bills. Parties will mediate with Mr. Josh Walker on December 4th, 2024 at 1:30 p.m. via Zoom. Ms. Patrick, we can add to that the parties can appear before the court subsequent to that mediation before it continues to the pretrial conference. And if the parties are unable to reach their agreement, the court will then, if necessary, schedule an evidentiary hearing.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right, Mr. Longton, does this recommendation agree with your client this morning?
Your Honor, we object to the recommendation.
You do not?
We object to it.
Okay, all right. Okay, let me ask Mr. Romberg there. Mr. Romberg, are you agree with this recommendation?
We're very close to agreement with it. We believe that it is slightly too high for reasons that I guess we're going to get into in a minute. So I guess the mediation recommendation we absolutely agree with, because we'd like to fast track this and get this divorce over and done with to minimize everybody's pain. But the support recommendation we can't agree with, because that would leave my client with a deficit every month. He doesn't make enough to cover that. Now we have a potential.
Mr. Romberg, Mr. Longton, what happened about the good old fashioned four-party meetings where the two attorneys were capable would sit down with their clients and hash out a reasonable resolution with the guidance from their attorneys? What happened? That's in the days when this court practiced law. That's what we did. We didn't always require a mediator.
I would love to do that.
Your Honor, that's not going to happen. This case is not going to settle unless you give us a trial date. But I'm happy to tell you what my objections are to this recommendation. I think the recommendation is wrong, and if you allow me to proceed, I will.
Mr. Longton, this court will not schedule a trial date without the parties engaging in mediation. I'll tell you that right now.
All right.
I want to mediate this. I want to resolve this, and it's also my understanding that when we mediate things, it's a lot easier for everybody to live with an agreement that we come up with than one that's imposed on the bench, even if it's identical.
Well, the truth of it is we can't even agree on it and on temporary relief. I have no confidence we're going to agree on a final settlement. But if Your Honor is ready, I'll provide Your Honor with my objections to the recommendation.
This mediation dates agree with your schedule, Mr. Longton?
Yes, Your Honor.
And I know that you wanted to mediate with the attorney Godfrey. I guess Godfrey, he's looking at next year. And you can always contact Godfrey. Sometimes he does have cancellation, so you can always ask to be put on his waiting list, Mr. Longton, and if he can meet it, because Mr. Godfrey has an incredible record in resolving matters. He has just a knack for communicating between the parties, Mr. Romberg, so keep an open mind. I think hold on, let me finish, Mr. Romberg, please. Mr. Godfrey has just a knack of being able to communicate with the parties and facilitate resolution. He does a wonderful job. It's going to save the parties a lot of money in the long run associated with litigation. So I'm suggesting that if Mr. Godfrey has a cancellation, that the two parties seriously consider that. I'm not going to order it, however, though, Mr. Romberg.
I just want the court to know that I love working with Mr. Godfrey, and I have no objection to working with him. My only issue is waiting till February. I want to get this. I want the pain to stop for these people.
Your Honor, I'll note.
If that's the case, Mr. Romberg, then the parties should sit down and resolve it.
I would like to, but Mr. Longton seems to object to it. I'll happily meet with him face to face or over the phone or however he wants, anytime that'll work.
Well,
I'd love to do that. It's one hand clapping at my end right now.
All right, I can do that, but again, considering we can't even agree on interim relief, I think suggesting that he and I can get together and solve this is fictitious. Now, I'm all for Mr. Godfrey Even though he represented my wife in my divorce, I have used him since. And Your Honor is absolutely correct. He has an outstanding record for settling cases. In the meantime, I would like to address the issue of this show cause.
Right, we'll give that, Mr. Longton, but do reach out to Godfrey because he may have a cancellation. And it'd be, in the very near future, and maybe that'll work out. So I'm just suggesting that, Mr. Longton, because Mr. Romberg doesn't want to wait till February. I understand that, but reach out to Godfrey and just see if he put him on the short list for cancellations. So with that, first of all, what are the assets? What assets do we have? Why can't we liquidate some assets? That's going to relieve some of the financial pressures on the parties.
There's
we have a house.
There's a house, there's a couple cars. There's I think a 401k and some pensions, and that's about it.
What's subject to liquidation? Do we have, how many parts of real estate?
One.
It's a marital home?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, why shouldn't, does one party want to buy out the other's interest? Why shouldn't we get that house on the market? Let's liquidate it. Now's the time to get things on the market.
Yes.
The wife wants to retain the house. They have 2 children, although they're adults. She wants to retain the house. We can have it appraised and look for an opportunity to buy him out. Okay,
well, they get that appraisal as soon as possible, Mr. Longton.
Yes,
Mr. Longton.
Yeah.
Because obviously they can agree upon a value. And does Ms. Vine have the income and the resources to qualify for refinancing to get it out of William's name?
I think I'll be able to steer her in the right direction, Your Honor.
Okay, all right, so please move on that.
Judge, I believe she will.
Okay, but let's get that appraisal. Maybe they can both get a fair market analysis. In the meantime, rather than spend $500 on appraisal, if finances are tight, each get a fair market analysis from different realtors, and maybe they can find some middle ground in terms of a value. And Mr. Vine can start that process of refinancing.
I agree.
That would be great, and that would alleviate, because a major concern that we have, Judge, is my client being put in a position where he has a recurring deficit from these obligations, and then he gets in trouble with you for violating your orders, where it's basically a matter of economic capacity, not willingness.
All right, and Mr. Romberg, you received the pleadings or the additional information provided by Mr. Longton regarding the monthly expenses and so forth?
I received an email last night, and we object to them because we have some of it is fictive. Some of it's legit, some of it's fictive.
All right. Okay. So the court wants to, let's establish some groundwork between now and the November pretrial where the court can modify things. So Mr. Longton, you may proceed then.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, I submitted to the friend of the court and Your Honor their most recent pay stubs. It shows that he has a net income of $1,000 a week. She has a net income of $650 a week. So he has 70% of the income. She has 30%. And again, this is based upon his last 4 pay stubs, not something that's old. This is his most current income. He moved out of the marital residence. He moved in with his girlfriend, and I have a private investigator's report showing that he's there every night, and I can
Mr. Longton, the court's not concerned about that. Let's just talk about finance. Let's stick to the finances.
So we're talking about
in terms of what expenses are not being met.
When he left, he gave her no money whatsoever. He's paying for the basement waterproofing, which is $150 a month, no more than that.
$300 a month.
Well,
excuse me.
We'll have our ability to object in a minute.
Hold on.
I have the bill right here. It's $150.
I pay it every month. I paid
Mr.
it
Vine,
for the last
please
3
mute
months.
Mr. Vine. Mr. Vine, we're going to mute you, Mr. Vine. Mr. Vine, we're going to mute you. Please mute him. You're interrupting, Mr. Vine. Totally inappropriate. So, Mr. Longton, who's paying is mortgage payment right now in default? Is it
No,
delinquent?
she's paying it. She's paying the mortgage, utilities. She's paying everything except the basement waterproofing loan. And I have the bill right here in my hand. It's $150 a month. And I can email this over to Stephen so that he can see for himself that's $150 a month.
So what are you requesting per month, Mr. Longton? $1,500 you're saying is not enough?
Your Honor, her total expenses are $5,300 a month. He makes 70% of the income. He should be paying her $3,500 a month. That's fair. So I'm not asking for any more. I mean, Your Honor signed a status quo order, which he ignored. He had 14 days to file objections. He filed no objections. He had 14 days to file a motion for modification. He did not file a motion to modify. So I think I'm righteous in asking Your Honor to consider him paying 70% of that $5,300 a month.
Judge?
They complain that her aged father, who's a vet, is living in the house. Well, he's living there temporarily. He's at a one assisted living facility. They're waiting for a VA nursing home for him. He pays for his own food. He doesn't pay rent. I was absolutely floored when Mr. Vine alleged that he's not living with the girlfriend when my client paid for the PI, who's available by phone this morning, and he's living there all the time. In fact, what he did, he's got.
I object because this
Your
is
Honor.
irrelevant. Number one, my client has a First Amendment right to associate with whomever he wants.
All right,
And
hold
this
on,
isn't a-
hold
this is-
on, Mr. Romberg, Mr. Longton, the court's only concerned about the expenses per month. I don't care who's
Thank
living
you.
with who and who's supporting the other person.
So,
What are
Your
the
Honor,
household
we'll see-
expenses that need to be met every month?
We'll
And
see
Mr.
if
Longton,
that-
you're saying they're $5,000 a month.
Yeah,
You're suggesting that
$5,300 a
the
month.
defendant pays 70%.
He should pay
Judge?
70%, which is $3,500, retroactive to August 15th, when I served him with the order.
Mr. Romberg, do you agree that the monthly expenses are about 5,000 a month?
No, I do not, Judge.
Okay,
Okay,
let's go through them. You got a
Okay,
mortgage
the
of
mortgage-
1,200.
the mortgage I agree with, because that we can prove.
DTE,
That's
You
too
got
high.
utilities.
My client says that the DTE and the utilities average about $175 a month. And when I did a quick check online, that seems about right for a 2-bedroom house in Monroe. 5 cell phones. She's the only person on that cell phone. You can get from AT&T 4 lines unlimited for $135 a month. As for the adult children, one of them was using one of the lines on that, but he stopped doing it and he was paying Ms. Vine for the privilege of doing it. And we believe that her father is using one of the other phone lines. We have another thing here with cable and Wi-Fi. We have double dipping here. I believe they get their cable and Wi-Fi from 2 different providers. Okay, but you can get Spectrum Basic cable for $95 a month. And I believe that would also include the internet hookup. Okay, auto insurance, one of those, the car, okay, here we're gonna go down to the cars. Her father can't drive. He bought and paid for a van that transports him to and from where he needs to be. Now, Ms. Vine also has a 2022 Compass that at the time, Mr. Vine says, just renew your lease. And she says, no, I want to buy it outright. So she decided to buy it outright. And instead of leasing it, that's where that comes from. The auto insurance for 2 cars, one is her father's car. Mr. Vine, I believe, pays his own auto insurance. Amex, what's this for? $500? Is some of these billed? We don't know where the double dipping is. That's 17, okay, we have that. The personal care items and the clothing for herself, $250 a month. That's a lot of clothing. That's thousands of dollars a year. I'm not going to golden rule it, but that's high. Miscellaneous, she says $100 for what? What's the miscellaneous? We already have this Amex bill where we don't know what it's for, and there's probably some double dipping here. The timeshare has been paid for. My client got a profit sharing last year, and he works a lot less now because he works for Stellantis, so he doesn't get the hours that he used to, and it's paid off, I think, until 2025, so that's a bill that doesn't exist at the moment. The basement waterproofing, he already pays it. But if you take a look at this, what they're asking for, it's $180 a day or a $65,000 a year burn rate for her. He only makes between the two, this is more than they do. He burns through about $3,300 a month for his own expenses. When he left the house and he was thrown out, he had to buy all new stuff. He had to find an apartment.
Okay,
Yes,
all
to
right,
pay
we're
his
just
own
talking about,
utilities.
Household expenses,
Yeah,
marital
the household
expenses.
expenses, I believe we could resolve this. If he pays the basement waterproofing, it's about $1,000 a month. The other thing too is Mr. Was it Dykow, who is the father-in-law? He's a disabled veteran, and I believe that Ms. Vine has applied for attendant care benefits, which are about $30,000 a year. So I don't even know if her finances here are accurate. One other thing, she works for a school board. She could have worked during the summertime, but she took the time off, so she intentionally reduced her income. And before filing for divorce, she also, and I know this is before any orders were in there, she removed half of the savings from their finances, so she had a lot of cash to cover all of this stuff. The problem that we have here, Judge, is she wants to live beyond both of their joint means. She wants to beggar him by making him not have any money for anything. He won't be able to pay. How is he going to pay for a mediator or for anything like that if he's paying out more than he earns? We're going to be in front of you for, I predict, for multiple show causes, not because he doesn't want to pay what you're ordering, but because he can't, or he won't be able to cover his bills. And this is all about equity and fairness. It's not about enriching the other party.
All right.
If I could
Mr.
respond ever so
Okay,
briefly.
Mr.
So
Longton.
they're
Hold
asking.
on, hold
for
on. The
money.
court has other matters. We're backing up in court.
Mhm.
This is not a trial this morning. Mr. Longton, you came up with the DT of $360 a month. Have you seen the bills?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay,
What's the breakdown on the 360 on DTE?
The DTE?
We got-
The DTE bill is roughly 350 if you take it out for the whole entire year, because summer and winter with the gas and electric prices are very expensive.
okay. Now, how many vehicles does Miss
I only
Vine
owe one.
own?
Don't talk over people, please.
What's the
sorry,
monthly
go ahead.
payment? What's the monthly payment for the vehicle? Right now you got almost $600
That's the monthly payment, Your Honor,
for one vehicle?
for one vehicle.
And that's what a vehicle that Miss Vine is leasing?
No, it came off the lease. She bought it. Unfortunately, interest rates spiked up, Your Honor, on used cars. You can get a far better interest rate on a new car. On a used car, you can't. The auto insurance is strictly for her vehicle, $162. To suggest it's for two vehicles defies logic, because no one can get car insurance that cheap.
But she also earns money from her job. So if you take a look at this,
Could I
she's gonna be
Mr.
getting about
Romberg?
$8,000
could
a
I
month.
finish
Hold on.
without being
Hold on, Mr.
interrupted?
Romberg. Yes, I'm gonna total legitimate expenses. I'm gonna order that to Mr. Vine pay 70% of them. So we've already
Okay.
dealt with the mortgage, the DTE, the car payment, the insurance. We know about the cell phone. It's a pretty high bill, $350 for a cell phone. Is that, we're just talking about one cell phone.
Let me
Yeah.
ask, who's on the cell phone?
Myself, my two boys, and my father.
All right,
And
so,
he was at the beginning of the last few months that I did pay for it.
all right, so I understand if Your Honor does not want to include the whole thing.
Correct. So what is a cell phone just for her?
Cell phone just for you,
$79.
$79, Your Honor.
Okay.
Could you explain to His Honor about the cable expense of $153? What is that?
DirecTV.
Is
I
that,
have DirecTV. That's the source that we have coming in, and the Spectrum is our Wi-Fi. We do not have any other option but Spectrum or DirecTV to do that in South Rockwood. I have checked into it several times.
That is not true.
could we finish?
American
Mr.
Express.
Rottenberg,
Hold
could
on,
we
Mr.
finish?
Romberg. American Express, and whose name is American Express bill, Mr. Longton? Is
The
it in both
American
names or just in your client's name?
The American Express name was in both of our names. It was officially in my name, but it's part of the Hilton Honors Club. It's and he had his own credit card for a couple months that there is money on it.
So what is the
Did he help?
American Express bill for? What is it, what
The
was it?
American Express bill was to pay off the Hilton Honors
All right,
And
timeshare.
the time.
is that in the name only of Mrs. Vine?
Well, he signed the papers too. They're in both of our names.
It's in both names.
Correct.
But the
Okay.
timeshare has been paid for already.
No, it
Judge.
has not.
It's not been paid.
I have that
She,
information right
you know,
there.
excuse me, she handled the bills. She knows what's paid and what's not paid.
So the American Express is $500 per month. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, to pay off the Hilton timeshare.
That's.
So what's the balance? Is it going to take months to pay that off?
$8,900.
Wow.
$8,900. And they
Right.
make too much money to file a bankruptcy, Your Honor.
So the timeshare, is that a monthly payment or is that an annual payment?
It's monthly, and then you also have an annual payment of $1,000.
Okay, well, it's the timeshare is going to be sold.
Yes, Your Honor. Well, I'll steer here to one of the timeshare sales.
We'd like it put on the market by the end of the week.
Okay,
Well, we'll do what we can. Your Honor.
waterproofing bill. What's the balance of the waterproofing bill?
How much is owed on the water?
I don't know, because he took it
Judge,
over.
with the waterproofing bill, to make it simple, we will assume it and we'll ask for an offset from whatever comes on there. We'll assume that, and we'll just bake the $150 into whatever it is and then just back it out somewhere else. Because he's
Okay,
already
so-
paid it.
Well, that's fine. We can agree
You know,
on
but
something.
again, with the cable and the electricity and the utilities, half of that is being used by her father-in-law.
No, that's not true. He's an
Well,
aged man.
he
Excuse
turns
me,
on the
please,
lights,
please,
he
Mr.
turns them off,
Roddenberry,
he uses
please.
whatever.
Can
My
you
client
stop?
should not be subsidizing her family member.
He's not. He's an old guy who sits in a chair who's waiting for a nursing home vacancy.
Again, he has other children who could assume
by the
that
way, Your Honor,
responsibility. That's
does
not
not
her costs, or his
Excuse
costs
me.
are not our
Excuse
concern.
me, she does not receive attendant care benefits. She was not offered employment this summer. And yes, she took half the savings. Well, he kept half the savings and gave her no money towards the bills. So how is that fair? So
Well,
this
she
is
could have
clear.
applied.
Excuse
The other
me,
thing too,
excuse me,
was she wasn't offered the
excuse
thing,
me, excuse me.
the
This should
job.
be-
Here's the
excuse
thing.
me. This should be retroactive to August 15th, Your Honor.
No, it
Your Honor,
shouldn't.
and I would add, Your Honor, since he has a take home of $1,000 a week, I'd ask for a temporary attorney fee because she's a school secretary.
Again, so how the heck is he supposed to pay his attorney? This is basically to starve him for money and bankrupt him. What is he supposed to
No,
do?
that's nonsense, Mr. Rottenberg.
He doesn't
Pure
have
nonsense.
enough
Pure
money to do
nonsense.
this, and we shouldn't be enriching Mr. Longton. So
No.
Based upon-
Oh, right.
Based upon,
like he was talking
based
about
upon
on
the
the open
court's
mic.
calculations of the appropriate monthly expenses and the incomes of the parties, the court will order that the defendant pay $2,000 per month to the plaintiff, commencing October 1st,
You
2024.
can't, Judge, we're gonna have to object to this because he doesn't have money
Go
for
to
it.
the Court of Appeals, Mr. Romberg. So Miss Vine will pay those marital expenses, but Mr. Vine will pay the timeshare and the waterproofing bill. He's already paying those, so he'll continue to pay those. And the other bills will be paid by Miss Vine, and Mr. Vine shall pay $2,000 per month. The price will meet at December 4th, 1:30, and subsequent to that, appear before the court for continued pretrial conference. If necessary, we'll schedule an evidentiary hearing that time. Court's also adjusting, once again, Mr. Longton, reach out to Attorney Godfrey. Maybe he's got a cancellation.
I will, Your Honor. I missed the settlement
Miss,
conference date.
Miss Patrick, if you could please modify the recommendation. Let's take into account the appropriate expenses on a monthly basis and the incomes of the parties, $2,000 per month, October 1st. So Mr. Vine, you need to make a forthwith payment to Miss Vine. I don't know if you do by Venmo or you want to give her a check or electronic transfer. You need to decide that, but
Judge, I'm
needs to
gonna
be
say on the
done,
record, I
forthwith.
don't think he has the money.
okay. All right, that will
I don't
conclude this
believe he has
hearing.
the money.
He's got to make it happen. That's the order of the court.
Your Honor, should this be through income withholding?
Ms. Patrick, I don't think so because it's not spousal support or child support.
That's
All right.
correct, Your Honor. It cannot be through withholding because technically it's a property
All right.
issue, not
All right. Thank you, Your Honor.
spousal.
Thank you.
And
Mr. Patrick, are there any sooner mediation dates than December 4th? Nothing available in November?
There was, Your Honor, but I believe Mr. Longton needed some time. He had just sent out subpoenas, but yes, we have dates available in November.
We need the subpoena information on pensions and et cetera in order to do this.
All right, okay, all right. So we'll see everyone after the December 4th mediation. And if we need to fine tune this financial obligation on the part of Mr. Vine, at that time, we can do that.
okay,
And the settlement conference is when, Your Honor?
After the December 4th, 1:30 mediation, whenever you're done.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
okay.
Welcome. If you can add that to the recommendation, Ms. Patrick, the party shall appear after the mediation for a pretrial conference, please.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, that concludes. Matter, everyone can zoom out. Have a good rest of the morning.
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Bye.